Hello, and welcome to Martlet Games. My name is Sarah, and I'm the storyteller for this historical Vampire the Masquerade 5th edition chronicle, London's Bleeding. A mature content warning applies for this story. There will be themes and descriptions of violence, loss of character agency, gaslighting, body horror, and more. The table has discussed their lines and veils and makes use of the yellow and red card safety system during play. Take care of yourself, above all. If you become uncomfortable or triggered, don't hesitate to take a break or step away entirely. We'll be waiting for you with open arms should you decide to return. And once again, I'll have my stalwart players and a special guest introduce themselves this evening, starting with Walter.
My name is Ben, and I am the Gangrillis Walter Price.
Hi, I'm Patrick, and I am playing Rafe the Toreador.
Hello, everyone. I am Samantha McLarty, and I will be playing Lillian Crawford, the Ventru.
Hey everybody, Stephen Rieger here, and I'll be playing Tommy the Malkavian.
Hello, I am Lex, and I will be playing Lady Anne.
Wonderful. Thank you so much for being here tonight, Lex. And thank you once again to all my players. I'm really excited to get started. So let's do so, shall we? I'm practically salivating to see how this next scene unfolds. So let's get right into it. We reopen on the coterie, standing in Lillian's residence, where she's posed herself rather intentionally by a large bouquet of flowers that are showing some signs of wilting at this point. Lillian and Walter have just had a bit of a conversation about Prince Mithras and the potential blowback the coterie will suffer as tensions escalate in the city. The coterie of happenstances once again reunited as Rafe and Tommy are greeted with this scene.
I think Rafe walks in, just kind of takes in the room. I don't think he's actually been in the study yet. I don't think Lillian's let him this deep into the building.
I don't think anybody except for Tommy has been in the study yet.
Mm-hmm. Oh, yes, very well, matches the rest of the building, I guess.
Tapping my fingers next to the flowers. And the card is the card as to the card that was on it is properly displayed, like right there.
Okay. All right, Miss Crawford, should we get down to business, as they say, and just get this over with?
Miss Crawford, I'm only here for one thing, and this ain't it, so I'll be
Tommy, where are you going?
I guess we can stay here and watch this.
Do tell, where else have you got to go?
Nowhere in particular.
Precisely, that's why it is best that we all stay right here and discuss the matter at hand. Wouldn't you agree, Rafe?
Well, of course, we've got the Bollingsworths to deal with, and I'm actually going to be making a, I don't know, composure, and I don't know, what's a, I think Rafe's probably going to have a hard time, like, dodging the fact that Lillian is standing right there by the thing.
Okay, here's what we're gonna do with that. Instead of having you make some kind of like willpower or like composure, basically, if you at any point are trying to like in a social role or social combat way with Lillian, you're gonna suffer a 1 die penalty.
Okay. Understood.
So that's how we'll do it instead of like a willpower roll.
Okay.
Please continue.
Okay. I'm trying so hard to keep a straight face during this scene. This is better. Oh, God.
So, shall we get to it then? Clearly, at least one of you had issues with the conversation that took place earlier, and another one had uneasy sentiments regarding it, and then Rafe really was indifferent. So let's talk about it then.
I wouldn't necessarily say I was indifferent. I stated the facts. There's nothing I can do to directly oppose either you or Regina, so I have to tag along.
And Mr. Price.
Yes. So I'm not a fan of either. Regina strikes me completely wrong. She is trying to threaten her way into being our savior, and that's fucked up. I'd rather not work for her if that's how she wants to do it, and frankly, she is offering me nothing that can't be gotten elsewhere, or I just don't care. But this Mithras guy coming in, I have no idea. I'm still new to the city, and this man, and so the idea that we're going to overthrow one for another just sounds bollocks to me. I would rather just go back to my home in my little area. But if we're going to be pulled into it, it's not so much I want to be on the side that wins. I just want to be in the side that will
doesn't
let me
lose.
Right. That is perfectly admirable and understandable. So here's the deal. If you choose to oppose Regina, she will simply send her winged minions after you and all of your little tribe and tear you all apart. She's already done so much to the Nosferatu and other people we know of, so
and see,
there's part of it. There's one aspect you should keep right here. And the other, if you go along with her shorty little plan, well, the way, if she continues to go about it with the lack of food source that she's trying to aim for, it's not going to work. And then Mithras will tear you apart, along with everyone else in his court.
But we've got leverage. We know about her. We know about her plans, and we even know where these creatures are coming from, right?
Indeed.
So if that can't buy us protection, then what can?
What it can buy us is time. Time to properly assess the situation and weigh potential outcomes, so to speak. Honestly, if Regina wanted to, and if she would actually come up with a more feasible plan than trying to starve out Mithras, considering that that's going to affect all of us. If she'd come up with something a little bit more creative, then perhaps she could have succeeded. She has the upper hand, and by means of surprise. But she's squandering any potential advantages.
So the Nosferatu have just gotten stronger recently, if I'm reading the room correctly, just from all the refugees coming into them, and they seem to have, I'm looking at status quo here, they seem to be doing okay up until recently. Why can't, and everybody else who's good in this hierarchy, tell me if I'm completely off base, but why can't we work out to deal with this Mithras feller that things stay the same by taking care, or at least giving him information about this Regina person.
So, here's the thing. Nosferatu, they have grown in numbers, but as we have recently found out, there are spies among their ranks now because they literally took in all the strays. All of them. No vetting. Nothing. Oh, you're a Nosferatu, you're one of us. Welcome to our little wonderland of sorts beneath the streets. And they took in all of them. Now, most of the newcomers seem to have been created by means of Regina's little plan over here on the side. Who's to say that all of them aren't under her thumb in one way or another? Maybe she offered them something, I don't know. Maybe she also put a little Tremere spell on them or some sort of thing that has a bit of, what is it? A trigger.
One thing that I wanted to just add into the deliberations here is, what if Mithras is already awake and already aware of what's going on? And he's just watching to see what happens. What then?
Possible. I've already stated I don't intend on putting all of my eggs in one basket. I intend on finding out what Anne knows, what she is wanting when we meet with her, and potentially what Baylor has to say about the matter. I really did hope that I really wish she would have taken that one, that bait.
Well, are we going to tell Lady Anne about Regina's offer?
Of course.
I wanted to make sure that I wasn't going to be putting my foot in my mouth.
I'm absolutely going to tell Anne about the offer that Regina has made us, just like I'm going to tell Regina that I told Anne about the offer that she made us.
Understood. And I will promise you that when we do end up talking to someone in charge, I will thoroughly keep my mouth shut and let you do the talking.
We can't be the only one she's made an offer to.
Probably not. We are likely just the only ones that have more of an ear to the court, so more to potentially offer.
So it's possible that it's possible that the other side is already infiltrated. Which only leads one thing. It's simple enough. Let's outmaneuver them and go home. Enough.
That's why you don't lie.
Easy enough.
You don't omit truths. That's why I'm going to tell Anne about the deal. That's why I'm going to let Regina know that I've told Anne about the deal. Because odds are they're already going to know.
They can't have the entire plan lynching on us.
And if they...
Go ahead.
And if Regina does have her entire plan lynching on us, then all the more reason to stay the hell out of the way when Mithras wakes up and punts her across the Atlantic all the way into the Americas.
It's at this point, all of you sort of get the smell of the flowers, that not quite wilted, but the beginning of decay smell. And also then, all of you hear classical music playing pretty loudly. Lillian, you go ahead and give me wits and awareness, actually.
Are we getting Noriegaed?
7 critical. That was a really good roll, guys.
Wow, yeah, jeez Louise. So Lillian, you know as soon as you hear the first note coming from the phonograph that it's coming from Bess's room.
I'm just going to shift my eyes upward, look at Rafe.
Returns the gaze.
Tommy, you've been quiet. My eyes stay on Rafe the entire time. I'm quite curious to know what you think of it all.
Well, the broken mouths take care of the situation. Mithras needs to keep us alive a bit longer now. We keep ourselves away from the fight, because obviously we know what's going to happen. The infiltrators and the spies will let each party know what's going on. They'll be in the middle. We can figure the situation out on the fly. Now, in that tobacco storage in front of the situation, I never said where the violence would go towards. Now, that witch took away my thing. And if you knew my past, which you do not, you will know that I complete what I say I do. Now, point me in the right direction.
Well then.
I'll tell you where it's not. It's not in my neighborhood. Next time you go there, make sure you change your clothes.
I was getting to that. Yes, Tommy, you should very much so, perhaps switch to a different scarf.
I don't think that accessory fits me.
Well, perhaps no scarf at all, or change your face.
And that's right there. He'll
do
just do it right there. Mask 1,000 faces. Why not?
Right, but they're looking for that scarf.
It's gone.
Oh, okay.
Let's make sure that for now it stays gone.
Burn it if you haven't yet.
Don't have to burn it. I also have another means of distraction, I suppose. I'm going to send everyone in that lovely little neighborhood a gift. Everyone gets red scarves.
In my neighborhood?
If I have to send it all over London, I will.
Oh.
It'll cover the cough.
Charitable contribution from the Crawford estate to all of London. Here you are. It's flu season, of course. Enjoy your scarf.
Absolutely. Write it off as a tax write-off for charity. That's a thing, right? Completely just like, wait, this is not that shit. Did I? Oops, if that's not the case. Charity, it's fine. Looks better.
We can work it out.
Who knows? Okay, so where are we then? Are we just we're in a wait and see mode, see what happens, and then we just made each other mutually aware of the plans, that we all heard what we thought we heard, that we all have misgivings one way or the other, and we'll just keep each other's informed as it progresses, I suppose.
Precisely.
And then meet up with Lady Anne and see what she has to say on the matter and use that guidance to move forward.
Have we found any weaknesses to these flying gargoyle or monsters?
They're stupid.
They're not incredibly bright and easily distracted and persuaded, usually, if you can find something, a little into what they once were.
Well,
remember the first one?
And that's what I'm afraid of. Yeah, my brand of hammer doesn't seem to work against their brand of nail.
No, it's more of a speaking game for them, it would seem.
So the only thing I've got going for me is surveillance with my pack.
I would just suggest to keep your head down. Anyone else have anything to contribute to this discussion?
Not in particular. I just want to stress that if Lady Anne says one thing and you decide to go another, that's on you. I'm not going to fall on my sword for you.
I don't expect anyone to fall on any swords for me.
Very well. We'll see what she has to say.
Precisely.
There is a knock at the study door.
Yes?
I'm so sorry to bother you, Mum, but a few matters need your attention, I'm afraid.
What?
About the new vehicle, they're asking a truly unbelievable price for it. I don't know why it's so high. And then, may I come in?
I suppose.
Make them yell through the door. Power move.
So
I was actually, that was legit. I was making her yell through the door.
No, speak louder.
So she opens the door, and she's pretty much the same maid that usually attends to you around the house, named Sharon, and she looks at the group assembled and gets a glimpse of Tommy and physically recoils.
That's quite rude. He has a condition.
Sir, are you sick? I'm so sorry. I wasn't...
It's mustard gas.
You should get to the point. What do you need?
Well, it's rather sensitive. Do you want your guests to...
Very well.
I should be
If you would
excusing myself anyway.
Give me a moment, if you don't mind.
I'll squidge out of the door.
Okay, so Rafe and Walter leave the study. Tommy, what are you doing?
As a snack, it's time.
It's kind of shrugging. Everybody's going. I think we're done here until the next time we're meeting up. So I'll give a little wave, a little nod.
Try to keep your head down a bit, Tommy.
Oh, so Tommy, you're leaving the residence entirely? Or are you going out to like the foyer with the other
Is everybody going to the foyer?
Yeah.
I mean,
Okay,
to
then
the
I'll go to the
foyer.
foyer.
Yeah. No. And to be fair, I was
foyer.
probably going to leave the residence altogether anyway.
Yeah, that's
Seems like
what I
we're
thought
done.
we were all doing.
Yeah.
Okay. So I need to know if you're leaving or you're not leaving.
If everybody's staying at the foyer, I'm staying at the foyer.
I will leave.
Okay, everybody's leaving.
If everyone's
We're
going to
gone.
Okay.
leave, I'm going to
We're
leave.
gone. Peace.
Okay. So the three of you will exit the residence. You'll go
I
out
will
the
say,
door.
real quick
Go
though, before they all leave, I'm going to take a pen, essentially, and a piece of paper, and I'm going to scribble down a small little note and hand it to Rafe.
He will take it.
Until next time, I suppose.
With Lady Anne.
Precisely.
I will read the note when I get home.
Try to behave until then.
Of course.
Okay. So the three guys leave. And god damn it. Why have you done this?
Zoom chat shenanigans,
Y'all are gremlins. You're truly menaces to society. Okay, so
I'm glad to know every game is like this.
it makes you feel better as an S2, doesn't it? Okay, so the three men leave the residence, and we're gonna cut back to them briefly before they all scatter to their wins there. So Lillian, so Sharon comes into the study, and she's like, I'm sorry to make such a big to-do. I have some unfortunate news. The man that you had been in contact with recently, Mr. Marlin,
Mm-hmm.
I'm afraid he's dead.
I beg your pardon?
Yes, you wanted him contacted, so we got on it right away, of course, and called him up to the place he normally stays, and the woman answered, I mean, clearly in tears, even over the phone, and told us that Marlin is dead from flu. Sick at breakfast. Yes, sick at breakfast, dead by tea time. You know what they say.
I ring her again and have her come here immediately.
Yes, of course. She is in quite a bad way, just to warn you.
I don't care. Tell her to come here.
Of course.
No consequence to me. I need to speak to her immediately.
And she nods and does a small curtsy and goes off to ring Marlin's partner there. So we are going to cut to the three guys outside here briefly. So you step out of the doors that you came in, and as you're maybe just exchanging a final few words before you split up or talking about how you're going to get back to East London, all of you see from like around a corner of like the back of the building, Bollocks. And he's making a beeline to all of you, like walking with purpose in his step, and he's like pulling at his face.
Is he aggressive or worried? Do I like eyes of beast? I mean,
you could eyes of the beast if you would like.
The beast.
Sense the beast. Sorry.
What I have, sense the beast. That's what it is.
Yeah, sorry. So that's no rouse check. So go ahead, roll your resolve and animalism, please.
Okay. I got a 3.
Okay. So it's not aggression.
Okay.
It's concern, it's determination.
Got it.
But no, he's not approaching you in an aggressive way. He just looks a bit more possessed than normal in terms of usually,
No, yeah. I just wanted to make sure I didn't get my guard up.
Totally.
So he's basically out in public by Lillian's house, looking dead ass Nosferatu. Sweet. Okay.
Yeah.
I think
I greet him cordially. It's like with concern.
I think Rafe's gonna try to wordlessly usher this little congregation into as dark of a corner as possible.
Okay, so we'll say that you walk away from the front entrance, essentially, and probably move to like a little courtyard where like no one is there that you see. So you'll move to a little courtyard.
Okay.
There's like some stone benches and greenery and things like that. It is fairly dark at this point. So Bollocks looks at Walter and he's like, "Where's Myron, mate?"
Fuck, we had Myron. Didn't we? Yeah, we pulled him out of there.
No.
No, you didn't.
They took off with him.
You took Jack Dory and you took Nathaniel.
We didn't leave anybody behind, did we?
Yeah, we did.
Yes, you for sure did. You 100% did.
She took him. Like, there was nothing that we could do about it. She just took him.
Well, that's what I mean. Like, we didn't just like grab our guys and leave Myron like dumb on the floor.
She took him, and I made a point to specify that she should keep him alive and unharmed because she may need the Nosferatu on her side, and she was taking that into consideration.
Right. So Bolus's eyes are wide. He's definitely shaken, and he just repeats, "Where is Myron, mate?"
Right. Bollocks. Right. So, here's what happened. We went to the tobacco docks to look for him. The queen bitch in charge of this whole thing was there. And she had some of our people. She had Myron. There was no way anyone was going to walk out of that building in one piece. We tried. But Regina Bollingsworth still has him. We've tried to make arrangements that he's going to hopefully be unharmed and unaltered, I guess would be the word. But she's got him. They're probably back up at their estate right now.
And you can see his shoulders heaving, his eyes like churning in like a maelstrom, and he like looks down and he clenches his fist with these long ragged nails, and blood starts coming from his hands, and he looks at Rafe, barely contained. You know, he's not just another one of the gang. I know you and your mate and you fucking guy, and points to Tommy. I know you're new and you like don't know what's going on, but that is my child.
Look, you know I care about you and your crew. You know that I would do what I could. You know that I understand.
And what did you do while you were there? What did you do?
Bollocks. If we've learned anything in the last 10 years, is it's going over the top without a plan gets nobody anywhere.
I haven't done anything yet. I was looking for all of you because we had, and you're like, oh yeah, we're gonna go check on Myron. Then I hear fuck all.
Let's try to calm down. If we'd have tried to start a fight to get Myron in there, you'd be talking to a bunch of staked corpses now. And that's not a way to get Myron back now, is it? So we're here to help. We like Myron. We like you guys. And we're here to help. So I'm not going to tell you to calm down. You can stay pissed. We need that aggression. But understand that being pissed at us isn't going to help anything.
And he glares at you, Walter, and then looks right back at Rafe. And he says, what do you mean the queen bitch in charge? You're not talking about that other one that runs around with you that never comes down to the sewer?
No, the other queen bitch in charge.
No, the Tremere pulling all of the strings.
Fuck. Are you Zerba in London now?
Yes.
Bloody hell.
She's got this grand, masterful plan to try to starve Mithras out. You and I both know that her plan is doomed to fail, but she's got numbers that we didn't have. There.
I know, Christopher told me part of it, but I don't know. Something inside, I was like, I don't know, he's just some moment of death embraced by some poor sod. Like, I didn't necessarily think that 100% of that was true. And you know, it's not just the Tremere, right? There's like other weird bloodlines going on up there as well.
Right, but we met with the Tremere, is what I'm saying. She was there at the docks. Regina Bollingsworth.
So, Myron is up at the estate.
I'm going to make an assumption. They flew in that direction. As far as where they landed, I don't know. I'm correct in that, yes, storyteller?
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, as far as we know, they left the building together.
Yeah.
Who knows?
Yeah. You know that Regina got on the back of a gargoyle and flew away, and Myron was with her, and then the rest of the legions that were there just kind of all scattered in different directions. And Bollocks, he looks at his hands, bloody from the nail, and he just starts just licking his hands. All right. So tell me not to take the entirety of the Mows and go up north and burn the estate to the ground after I take Myron out?
Because you'll be walking into a slaughterhouse. You don't know what's up there yet. We don't know what's up there yet. Use this opportunity to learn your enemy. Get to know your opponent. Don't just go charging in, guns blazing. You will die. Every single one of you.
But it does bring up an excellent point. Is there a site B that's important to them?
That's something else that we need to... We know where their main base of operations is now. But as far as anything else that they might have in the city, who knows? But, look, bollocks. You know that we will do right by your crew. And you know that I hold under Prince Bremer in highest regard. I mean, a Toreador willing to spend their time down below in the Warrens. You ever heard of that? So, we understand and we share your concern for your childer. Go tell Bremer what we've told you. Let him plug into whatever power structure he needs to in the city. Some sort of concerted effort after the fact. More of you might come home alive, relatively speaking.
And Bollocks looks down for a moment, just idly pulling the skin of his face back, like the folds kind of going everywhere. And then he looks back up and says, you know, I never even intended to make use of this tradition. It was me and it was Brimmer against it all. All the fuckery in East London, the gangs, the poverty, the... I never even wanted to. Brimmer said it was time, and so I did. I thought that's what you do next in this bloody on life. You get a child, you teach them, you give them an opportunity. This poor sailor from nothing, but good at observing and good with people, a good fit. I get it. I have to know the enemy. We don't know enough yet. Beyond that, beyond Myron, I'll tell Brimmer. But the bad news doesn't stop there, I'm afraid. Now I get to deliver some to you.
Great. What you got?
You remember Christopher, who came down from up north seeking us out?
Yeah.
He went batshit in the tunnel and started clawing and trying to stake and trying to bite anyone within spitting distance. And it weren't no regular always hungry, because we've got ways of fulfilling everyone in the gang's needs in that regard. So it wasn't because he was hungry. We don't really know why, but I was hoping you could come with me so you could assess the damage and see if we could find anything else out about what's going on. I mean,
Right, bollocks. Say no more. Look, Walter, you go back with your boys. I'll go down below. Your people know me. Maybe a friendly outsider face might lighten the mood a little bit.
Be safe. You might want to send any of your other refugees out of your warren for a bit.
Right, not a bad idea. Any newcomers you might want to segregate from the rest of the group.
Yeah, we've already started that.
Right. Well, look, bollocks. I'll go along. If anything, I can get to answer any questions that Brahma might have directly.
All right, fuck. And you, boyo, are you coming along too? Cracking the glass?
Who's he pointing to? Oh.
Tommy.
Actually, I don't know if it's safe down there anymore.
There's an entire morgue filled of your snacks, of your food. I'll probably be a bit more careful in the future.
Sorry, what?
At the hospital in my neighborhood. In my neighborhood. It's all over the place. There's an entire morgue full of his people that fit the description of being eaten by him in his preferred method.
Oh, so wanting to sow more chaos in East London just after we pulverise the bloody fist. You just want to watch the world burn then, do ya?
I was rather speaking on the gang members that you have right now that are working with that Tremere.
They ain't ours. I mean, yes, some of them are from the clan, but that doesn't mean they're a mouth.
You don't think that there's talk? You don't think that there's a setup? How did Myron get there? How did they know?
Well, apparently she's got a whole workforce, don't they?
Alright. Then sooner started, sooner finished. Right, look. Let's go. I'll just be quick. Look, gents, we can meet up later when we have to go talk to who we have to go talk to. I will smooth things over with our friends down below.
And Bollocks looks at Rave. He's like, all right, let's get a move on then, mate. And then he basically starts to head out of the...
I'm right on his tail.
And yeah, and Bollocks does turn around and look at Tommy right in the eye, like hard, steely gaze. Watch out, mate. Here there's a killer on the loose in East London. Wouldn't want to fall afoul of him now, would ya? And he doesn't wait for a response and just turns around and leaves. And they're making haste to the Rotherith tunnel where the Nosferatu weren't. Or sorry.
And since I'm not going home right now, I will go ahead and read the note en route to the Warrens.
Oh, lovely.
Yeah.
What does it say?
You're gonna be so pissed. Next time, essentially it says, next time you decide to send Bess or any of my girls flowers or any sorts of gifts again, I'm going to send them to your wife, card included. Lillian.
He's gonna just tear it up and throw it in a gutter.
And imagine the camera, like the ripped piece of paper, it just says your wife and it slips down into a storm drain.
Yep.
Very
that's
auteur.
Yeah, that's all it plays out in my head. Okay, so Walter, you're going back to Shadwell Basin? Okay, and Tommy, what direction are you heading in?
See, I think Tommy's going to try his luck at the dandy. Go
Okay,
through the
fair
back
enough.
Door, get into a secret room. Try not to be seen.
Right. And you are not wearing your scarf currently. Is that correct, or are you? Okay.
No, scarf is gone.
Scarf is gone. Right. So Tommy heads back then to East London, toward the Randy Dandy, just north of the Thames there. So we're going to cut back to Lillian here. So after a couple of minutes, maybe like 10, 15 minutes, Sharon comes out of the sort of telephone area, because there's kind of like an area in your residence that's dedicated to the whole setup.
Right.
And she's like, all right, Mum, I told her to come over immediately, and she said she would, so.
Wonderful. And now, could you send for... Oh, I don't think I know his name. It doesn't really matter, but... car salesman. Send for him.
Oh. Certainly. I'll make that call as well, Mum.
Wonderful.
Okay, so Sharon goes back to the telephone room and is going to call the car salesman. And let's say about an hour elapses, and then there is a knock on the door, and Sharon goes to the front door, sees that it's the woman. I am just briefly searching for her name because I know she had
Edith?
one. Yes, thank you so much.
Edith. I remembered it this time.
Awesome. Thank you so much. Appreciate that. So Edith is she brings, now where do you want Sharon to bring her? Just in the regular foyer area?
Yeah,
or?
into the sitting.
Oh, the sitting
parlor.
room. Okay. Yeah, for sure. Okay, so Sharon brings her in, and even without heightened senses turned on, you can hear sniffling from Edith. And so she brings it in, and she's dabbing her eye with a little white handkerchief, and her clothes are a bit disheveled. Her hair is not quite in place. Last time you saw her, she usually looked pretty put together, but now there are many things out of place. Her eyes are puffy and red. It feels like every line in her face is deepened. And she's kind of gives a small nod and a curtsy. Mum, you wanted to see me?
Oh, yes, absolutely. I need to know a few things. I was told, dear Mormon, passed recently, and condolences, of course. What happened exactly?
It was the damn flu. The previous night he was fine. We were just at home, and then the next morning he said he felt ill, but he was telling me it was all right and that he didn't need help or doctor, and then he was in bed, and then the fever, and then...
That quickly? I don't know that I've heard of that happening so fast.
Sorry, Mum, why do you need to see me?
Where was he before he became ill?
He had been round the Dales residence, like you said, for most of his days and nights, honestly.
Did he mention seeing anyone unusual there, or that anyone any unusual encounters?
No, he said it was quite boring, actually. Just a bunch of... And she trails off.
A bunch of what?
You know, stuffed shirts.
Do you know if he spoke to anyone? Any of the Dales or their staff?
Not that I know of. He was just observing and looking into all the family members, like he said.
Did he keep a notebook or some sort of log of what he was working on?
Yes.
All right, I'm going to need that, please, Edith.
But he's dead. Like, there's no more job for him, right? Like, what do you
your
need
work
that
is
for?
never done. Death can't keep you from working. Nonetheless...
What?
I paid him for a job. I need to know what he found out. Either way, I need the logs.
Yeah.
You'll
yes,
be well compensated for it. I'll even cover funeral expenses for him.
Oh, I couldn't ask you for that, Mum. That's
it's no problem, really. Not an issue. How do you like it in London? Do you like London? Have you ever considered potentially, I don't know, looking for new adventures?
And she actually, at this point, like, fully bursts into tears, into a sob, and you can see, like, the tears just streaming down her face, and she's like, I hate it here.
All right,
it's so rotten.
There now.
It's rotten.
Can we just stop crying? It's fine. All is well. All right, there. You're fine. All well. Okay, so how would you feel about going to America?
Well, I suppose one of my uncles is there.
Oh, wonderful. How would you feel about continuing our employment opportunities there?
And she shrinks a little. She's like, after everything with Marlon, I don't know. I want to just do something else. I don't want to do this. I don't want to. In fact, Mom, I'm surprised you even want me here. I mean, I've been around him with the flu. I don't know. I could be dead or struck ill at any moment, and I'm here talking to you. It doesn't seem right. I don't want to get you sick or your house sick.
That is fair. Nonetheless, you're already here, so might as well get on with it. I have need for an assistant of sort that can be in America, handling some family affairs there. I would gladly pay your way.
And her sobs, like, kind of taper off at that point. And she says, yeah, I can start over and I'll have a job. So, yeah, I think that sounds good, Mom. I mean, I'll do my best. I'll do whatever you need me to do.
Wonderful. I'm so glad we are on the same page. I will have Sharon set everything up for you and we'll take care of the funeral. I just need those logs and any contacts that he had by chance. And if whoever you both might have worked with in the same sort of business that I usually request from you, I would like information on them as well, contact information specifically. Marlon's no longer around, so I'm going to need a replacement, but nothing for you to worry about, dear. I'm going to set you up just fine in America, and you will have to just remember to stay in contact with me, of course.
Of course. Every step of the way, miss. All right, well, I'll bring his journal over straight away, pack my things, and get away from this wretched city.
Absolutely. And yes, I will have Sharon set it all up, and you'll be well taken care of.
May I go, miss?
Of course. I will have a contract sent over when I have my driver pick you up as well. I just need your signature, and you'll be on your way.
All right. Just as well. Thank you once again, Mom. I'm just very thankful for the opportunity. Please have a good rest of your night.
Of course, absolutely no problem at all. Be safe on your way home, and I'll need those letters, all of the information, probably by tomorrow night at the latest. I'm preferably later tonight, but tomorrow night at the latest.
Yes. Yeah, that's the job after all. Of course. And she leaves, and you see like Sharon kind of like escort her to the front door. And she does seem slightly more bolstered than when she came in. So Sharon escorts her out and then comes back around to you.
I'm going to pull a piece of paper that already out of the desk that already has a lot of stuff written on it. I have ready-made contracts. Just gonna add a few things here, and I will seal it up and give it to Sharon and tell her to essentially make all the preparations and make sure she signs this before she leaves her home.
Yes, understood. I'll have the solicitor look over it.
Wonderful. I don't need a solicitor to look over it. I just need her signature.
As you will, Mum. So she starts doing that, and she says, the salesman of the vehicle, he says he can't come tonight.
Did he give a reason?
Just says, busy on some job. I don't know.
On a job?
Yes, Mom?
Do you have his address?
Yes. I'll go upstairs, write down, I'll bring down the address to you, okay?
That would be wonderful. Do you think he's at home, or do you think that he is at some pub somewhere?
I mean, I did hear some voices in the background laughing and whatnot. But
best guess, what do you think? Where would you go if you were trying to find a car salesman?
Well, I don't know, Mum.
Not very helpful, Sharon.
I can't exactly force him to come here at such a late hour, Mum.
All right, phone him back. Tell him I'll give him double if he comes right away.
Yes, Mum. All right, I'll try again. And she goes back to the telephone room. And it is at that point that we are going to cut back to Rafe. You have arrived back at the tunnel without incident.
Right.
So Bollocks lets you in through the several little chambers, and then you're out into the Warren. So when you walk in, there's blood on the floor. There's some just blood on all these like stones. There are many of the tables that you had seen other kindred like gambling at and talking and sitting down. They're like broken. Some of the legs are torn off the tables. There's some people like mopping up the blood, and then you actually do see one or two kindred there, like with like these big like slashes on their arms, like someone like in their neck has a wound, and they'll be okay. Even you know that with the regenerative powers of the blood, they'll be all right, but they did take some damage. And there are far less people in here than normal. Like, there's maybe a quarter or less. So Bollocks, like, upon entering, just kind of like, just tries to steady himself for a moment, and he looks at Rafe. Christopher's staked in the back. We figured we shouldn't destroy him just yet, to try to get any last information we can out of him.
Right, no, that's definitely the smart thing to do. Leave him for last. Tell you what, let me go around. I take out my notepad and my pencil. This is just like any other job. Let me do what I do. Get the chain of events down as it actually happened, and not a scattering of eyewitness accounts. See if I can fix some of you lads up, and then we'll talk to Christopher.
Yeah, all right. Oh, and while I'm thinking about it, Tommy had Oscar asked us to send 2-3 of our guys up north, and they ain't returned yet. Now, it's not been long, but it's been a full cycle of day and night, so don't know what's going on there or what he even wanted to see.
Well, if they went to the estate,
I assumed that's what it was.
Then
go up to the estate to see.
Then unfortunately, I think they're not going to be coming back.
And he just shakes his head. You know, I don't really understand what you're doing with him. Like, I understand we're all dead, we're all monsters, you know, feed him on blood and all, but he's
changed.
A different kind altogether.
I haven't known him for all that long. But in the short time that I have known him, he's changed. In the past, when I got back from the continent, he had a steady supply of blood for me. We had a good working arrangement worked out. Things were okay. And then this happened. And now we're here where we are. And Tommy's not Tommy anymore. Tommy's the thing inside us. You know, that urge in the back of your throat. Just keep drinking.
Nah, mate.
That is...
Nah.
You sure?
Yeah, because something tells me he was evil long before his embrace.
Oh, without a doubt. But this situation here has changed him. It's whatever slide was happening prior, it's the apple cart has gotten pushed down the hill, as they say.
Well, all I can say is be careful, mate. Because an animal like that is what to turn on a dime around those closest to him.
Oh, I don't associate with him any more than I have to now.
All right, so Rafe, you're there with Bullocks, and you've seen the sort of messed up scene before you. You've been told that Christopher is staked in the back. Mm-hmm. And they're kind of not sure what to do with him. So what is the first thing you want to do here, Rafe?
So first things first, I wanted to get the actual chain of events as far as leading up to Christopher wigging out, and then, you know, the play-by-play of the incident, and then the after action. Try to get as clear a picture as possible.
Okay, so I did a little roll there. So you go around to like different groups. You see the guys that are mopping, like a couple of women sitting at another table. Everybody's kind of like, normally that type of violence does not happen in the safety of this warren, so everyone is super shaken. So in terms of the order of events, you find out that Christopher had basically continued to talk about his experiences up north and what he knew about Regina.
Okay.
And that, like, some of the other members of the gang were trying to get more information about Regina the person. So they were just like asking him questions like, do you know what she looks like? Do you know like where she came from when she was embraced? Like just trying to get answers out of him. And he didn't have too many details, but eventually in the discussion, he just kind of stopped, like he had been, like a switch had flipped, and with no provocation or threat, just started lashing out, first at the guys he was talking to, and then anyone that he could get his hands on, until it was just another member of the gang, named Randall, that ended up staking him. He just got kind of a lucky shot, honestly.
Gotcha.
It was just a very lucky strike in the chaos.
Okay.
And then that sort of people had tried to like restrain him or like, you know, kind of swarm to him when he started to get violent, but he was like surprisingly strong. And then I don't know if you recall, his hands were in a strange shape. They were like the paddles.
Oh yeah.
And he was just like cracking people on the head and the kneecaps and just like seemingly trying to achieve as much destruction and violence as possible.
Okay.
So that happened. Randall staked him, and then Bollocks and a couple other of them moved him into a room, one of the back rooms where like the tunnel is slated to like continue mining back.
All right, so it's clear to Rafe that Christopher was obviously some kind of a Trojan horse, and we're gonna file that away for later. Now, as far as the one that was wounded on the neck,
yes,
I want to go ahead and use Valerin.
Okay, yeah, let's do it. So, that will be a rouse check, please. And then you'll roll your intelligence and fortitude.
Okay. I'm now hunger 3. Fire away, Sam.
Take it away.
Oh, look at you.
I can help him.
Are you satisfied?
I can help him.
No, you're not going to help him. You're going to eat him. You're hungry, Rafe. He's helpless.
I'm hungry, but if I do it here, we're not leaving.
Take advantage of the moment. Say you can't help him. Best not let it waste.
You are going to kill me, one way or the other. I gotta get out.
Are you saying that out loud?
Oh yeah, I'm talking out loud. Yeah, we've established that. Yeah, whenever Rafe's yeah.
Better me than you yourself.
I hate this fucking city. And I'm going to try to force past the beast voice here, and we're just going to get down to business with the Valerin. And that was intelligence and fortitude, you said?
Indeed.
Okay. One, two, 3 successes.
Okay, so you are able to it's a light healing. Some of the bite sort of closes, like the flesh knits around it slightly, but the wound does not close. But some of the like scratches on his arms, and maybe like a bonk on the head, that sort of recedes and heals itself. And the guy sort of rubs his face. He's got this like messy brown hair and these little glasses.
Look
Sam?
at that. Can't even do that correctly.
And he smiles weakly and he's like, thanks, mate. Helped a bit.
Yeah, was that Christopher take a bite out of you, did it?
Yeah, I was one of the ones asking him questions and lunged right for me at the start.
Well, that is unfortunately looking like it's going to take you a few more days, but you're at least heading in the right direction, lad. Why don't you,
I appreciate it.
Yeah, tell you what, if you wouldn't mind, one more possible bit here. was going to maybe talk to Brema about getting to ask Christopher a few more questions, and I might need... I'm no good in a fight, and if he decides to do what he needs to do after he's unstaked and it's... tear things up some more, that's not going to end well for anyone.
Right, I mean, any of us willing will go back there, but Brimmer, he's secure and he's not seeing anyone, but Bollocks will let you ask Christopher some questions, I'm sure.
All right. And I'm gonna ask them to take me to Christopher, and I intend on kind of I'm gonna use awe, and I'm gonna have that up as I pull the stake, just to try to get some more. In case he is still mid frenzy, I'm gonna try to get through to him.
Okay. So Bollocks leads you back there, and about 5 other members of the gang go back with you into this secure little room. And Bollocks sort of like leads you in, and he just looks at you. He's like, all right, want me to pull it out, ask you questions?
Yes, let's get this over with. I'm ready.
Okay, so Bollocks unstakes Christopher. He pulls what you see now is a wooden table leg. Pulled out of his chest, and Bollocks actually has a little vial and that he pulls out, and he feeds some blood to him from this vial and not from his own arm. And Christopher snaps to consciousness, essentially. So please roll, Rafe, your manipulation and presence, please.
Okay. Two successes.
You catch Christopher's gaze for a moment, but he very soon looks away from you.
Right,
and I didn't mean to. I didn't mean to. I promise, I didn't.
All right, now, hold on. Now, look, it's very important here, Christopher, that we get information and you tell us the truth. Is that understood?
Yes.
Now, when you decided to do what you did...
I didn't decide.
Really?
No!
Kind of hard to prove that, isn't it?
I know, it's just my word. I understand that, and you can't necessarily trust it, but I didn't decide.
Look here, Christopher. If Regina did something to you to make you do this, there could be others like you, just waiting to go off. You're a Trojan horse, Christopher. You know what that is?
Yeah, I remember I read the story one time as a boy.
Right, you and all the other new recruits. Every single one of you are possibly a security risk to the mouths here.
So I'll just leave then.
Well, That's not for me to decide. This isn't my domain.
I know.
And I look over to Bollocks. What's your way of doing things down here?
And he sort of like pushes you on the back so that you're like facing away from Christopher, and he kind of like walks away from you to a quieter corner. And he's like, Brimir wants him destroyed. I mean,
I'm not going to beg for the lad's life. You do what you need to do to take care of your people.
exactly.
Right? This is a horrible situation, and unfortunately, Christopher here... I don't know of any way that can be undone.
He can't.
Unless you... I don't know, unless it's one of that, unless it's like a fairy tale, you have to kill the person who did it. I don't know, does it work that way? I'm new to this.
I still don't. I don't know what's going on myself.
Great.
If he weren't angry, I don't really understand why he would do that. Now he's saying he didn't decide.
More than likely, the Tremere did something to his mind. Or it was a spell or something. Every single one of the new recruits could be just like him.
And Bollock sets his mouth kind of in a hard line. He's like, all right, do you have any more questions for him?
Not really, no. There's nothing more that we can really get other than what you've already asked. He's useless now.
It'll be a kindness, honestly. And he turns back around and he sort of takes Christopher by the arm and like sits him down on kind of like a ledge. And Bolus looks back at you and he's like, you should probably go, mate.
Right. Good evening, Christopher. And I turn to leave.
He says nothing. Okay, so we're gonna wrap up this night here. So Walter, you end up back with your crew at the Shadwell Basin. Everything seems pretty par for the course. Jack is like cleaning up the space, and he's seemingly trying to keep himself like extremely busy. Like he's asking if other people in the group need stuff done, and he's making himself very useful, maybe overly so, a bit overzealous, you notice.
Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. I mean, I let him. He seems to be scratching an itch. At some point, I try to make conversation to determine, like, what, if anything, he said to Regina's group, just so I have an idea. And I also still want to keep an eye on people who are new to the club, kind of get an idea of who they're working for. Okay.
And we're going to make some rolls later on for those observations. Sure. And Jack, when you talk to him, he says he didn't say anything. That was kind of this like stealthy attack, and then he was unconscious, and then he was back with you at the thing. That's what he tells you. Tommy, you went to the Dandy. Okay.
I did.
What did you do there? Or you were just kind of going there to get into a room before daylight?
Just going there to get into a room, lock the door. I'm there.
Okay. Lillian, at almost the time where you have to be like getting ready for day sleep, the car salesman guy shows up, and you use your exquisite powers of dominate to get. Now, do you want to do the far below asking price, or do you want a charitable donation?
Oh no, he'd made me wait too long now. He's going to give it to me for charity.
Okay, so no deduction on Lillian's book for this new vehicle to replace the one that was destroyed by a gargoyle. And Rafe, are you heading back to your flat?
Yeah, I'm going to go back to my flat, and I think there might be some writing I might have to attend to. I do have to pay the bills, but other than that, the only thing that I've got on my agenda besides the meeting with Lady Anne is a whole lot of twiddling my thumbs. So,
okay.
Gonna write and pay the bills.
All right, so that night ends. And it's at this point we're going to take a little break. So get your stretch, get your snacks, get your drinks, and we will see you in about 5 to 7 minutes. Welcome back to Martlet Games and this Vampire the Masquerade 5th Edition Chronicle London's Bleeding. So the coterie has ended their nights after another tense one in London. We're going to skip one night. The players, for the most part, have told me what they would like to do during those times, and we are going to fast forward to the night before Elysium. And this is the night that Lillian got the note that she was to meet Lady Anne Bosley, the Seneschal of London, at the Elgin pub. Actually very close to your residence, Lillian. It's just around the Notting Hill area. So we'll get some rouse checks to start the night, and then we'll be filing into the Elgin. So rouse, if you will, please.
Can I make a hunting roll for that day we skipped before I rouse?
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay.
Yeah, go ahead.
Thank you.
So Tommy gets hungrier. Dan,
I'm
Walter. Good. Okay, Lillian's good.
That's 4 on my hunt.
Okay, so you are able to hunt successfully there and get your hunger where you want it.
Okay, I would have taken it from 3 to 2.
Okay.
And so now I'm gonna roll for the rouse. I'm back.
Okay.
Oh no! Actually, no. I'm good. I'm good.
Okay,
Yep.
so Rafe and Lillian are good. Tommy, you expect to hear something as you wake, late as you're waking now in the night, but you hear nothing. It's like the inside of your head is echoing, like icy silence. Just nothing. And Walter, you hear, I'm gonna come back for you, right?
Do I recognize that voice?
Yeah, it's Julian.
Okay.
You're not strong enough yet. We both know that.
Start to be a little bristly, defiant. I'll show
And that's
him.
all you hear.
I'll show him.
We shall see. So we're going to do another little fast forward. All of you know that you're to meet at the Elgin. So the East Londoners all make their way over. west and toward a very fine part of town indeed. So the Elgin Pub calls itself a cornerstone of the Ladbroke Grove neighborhood. It's situated in Notting Hill, which, as I said, is close to Lillian's residence. Upon arriving at the pub, you see the name, the Elgin, written in gold paint on this black exterior that curves around this corner building. There are tall burgundy doorways that are also decorated with gold paint. Are you all walking in? Are you having a little convo outside when you all meet up?
I think if Rafe was going to be one of the first to show up, because, I mean, Lillian can show up whenever the hell she damn well pleases. I think Rafe would probably be meandering out front, and then whoever is the first to show up, whether it's Tommy or Walter, he'll probably visit with them for a second and then go on in. Wait for the others inside.
Lillian would have arrived promptly on time for this one.
Good deal.
Smart.
If people are still outside when Walter arrives, I will insist that we go inside, where there's less of a chance of... It's counterintuitive, but...
Okay.
I expect people not to be listening to conversation if other conversation's going around.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so the three of you then are entering. Okay, yep. So when you enter, Tommy is probably still on the way. You see that there are dark wooden walls and furniture. It like luxuriously but durably upholstered furniture in red and navy blue. Also decorating the walls, there's like lighter tile with hand painted flowers and large mirrors with golden filigree. So there's a seating area and across with wooden tables and some booth seats. When you walk in, the bar also carved out of that same dark wood. The bar has many colorful spirits behind it. It's kind of medium size. It's not huge. There are a handful of stools, but not many. It's clear that you're meant to kind of sit in these seating areas. You see, going to the back of the bar, it says market room. And it's not like entirely clear to you what that means exactly, but it is like labeled. And there is some more seating back there that you do see. And then to the right, right at the entrance, there's a room with a very long dining table, with fine place settings. You do see a bartender, like a reedy gentleman with a gray mustache, and he's polishing glasses. There are really not a lot of people here. Like there's maybe one man sitting at the bar. There's a man and a woman back in the market room that you can hear talking a little bit. And as you look into that dining room, there's a woman sitting at the head of this long dining table, finely dressed, appearing in her early 50s. Her back is straight and her presence is commanding, but in a quiet but slightly insidious manner. Now, Tommy, are you filtering in at this point, or are you still not there?
I'm getting there. Yeah, I'm just beelining it where we need to be.
Okay, and the bar is not this pub is not large. So like once you kind of come in and you're immediately like in the little group of the rest of your coterie. And actually, Lillian and Lady Anne, I would love for you to please roll wits and etiquette.
Five critical.
That would be 7 critical.
Okay, so Lady Anne, you will speak first. You will address them before Lillian can.
So how does everyone come in? Is Lillian leading the way? Do they appear like equals? How are you all coming into my place?
Great question.
If I got there before then yes, I would probably have come in like beforehand. If they got there before me, then they probably would have come in, and then I would have. I don't think that any of us really would have really waited around too much.
No.
I imagine we trickle in order of arrival.
Yeah.
And who's to say what order we arrived in?
Okay, so what we'll say is that Rafe and Walter were probably the first to walk in, and they maybe are still kind of standing there awkwardly, kind of maybe waiting for Lillian's direction here. So then Lillian will enter after them, and then Tommy is behind her. So that's how the order will go. And all of them just filter into this dining room. Yeah.
I would have, if I saw them just waiting there and I walked in, I would have just no time to dawdle and would walk past them. And so
Okay. I'd be right behind Lillian then.
Okay. So as Lillian comes in, and if anyone preceded her, they were not notably greeted, not until Lillian had entered. Does Lady Anne stand up and sort of fix her top and take a couple steps forward, but not close the distance all the way to Lillian? Lillian, my dear, it is so good to see you again.
Anne, it has been too long, honestly.
Apparently it has. We've forgotten our manners already, have we? Lady Anne. Let's try it, shall we?
Lady Anne, of course.
Pleasure. And your companions?
This is Rafe.
A pleasure.
Mom?
Walter and Tommy.
Good sir, my good sir. It's such a pleasure to meet you all. Would you care to sit down? Can I offer you refreshments?
I'm perfectly fine, but thank you, dear.
No, thank you, but I will have that seat.
I as well.
I'll be taking my spot as well.
Lovely. And Lady Anne retakes her seat at the head of the table. It has truly been too long. I do not know any of my dear Lillian's friends. Please, you, good sir, Walter, tell me about yourself.
Mr. Price, milady, I am new to this part of London, and I served our country across the strait.
We appreciate your sacrifices.
Thank you.
All right then, and you, Rafe, was it?
Yes, Lady Anne, Rafe Williams, Clan Toreador. I also was over on the continent during the war, but as a journalist, not as a soldier.
Well, all jobs have their value when viewed in the right market.
Yikes.
And I'm sorry, it was Tommy, was it?
That is correct, Mom. I've been on this ball for a very long time, but I've only been on this land a very short time since the war.
Well, the war has brought our borders either much closer together or much further apart, depending on where you're from. Well, I suppose with that out of the way, Lillian, tell me how you are doing. How are your girls?
Oh, absolutely wonderful, of course. So there is one that seems to be getting on in unsavory ways, and I'm just gonna shoot Rafe a look and then smile politely back at Lady Anne. But nonetheless, they are all doing fantastically. And you, of course, Lady Anne, how are you?
You know how the affairs of court are. If it's not one thing, it's certainly another.
Absolutely. I hear it's getting a bit unpredictable as of late.
That certainly seems to have come to our fair city, unpredictability, and that is not something I welcome very often.
Well, perhaps, if I may, we might be able to offer a little bit of insight on that unpredictability. Make it a little bit more predictable for you.
I would appreciate that greatly. See, that is why you were always my favorite.
So, are you familiar with the name Bollingsworth?
I am somewhat familiar with it. They recently had a bit of tragedy, if I recall. They had some sort of factory issue?
Terrible, terrible, I'm sure. Nonetheless, specifically, a Regina Bollingsworth. It seems she is very much so making a comeback these nights in a most annoying way.
I would say so. Last I heard, that whole family had been bought out, closed down. I thought they were on their way out. Really?
Could have only hoped that would have been the case. Unfortunately, it seems one has decided to reclaim her stake in London society.
I see. And do you have plans to do something about that, any of you?
Well, we were working on that, and we had the pleasure of a conversation with her, actually. She's trying to recruit.
Recruit for what?
Hostile takeover.
Well, I'm not one for gossip, but if you were to continue, I would not stop you.
Of course. So, it seems she has a bit of a vendetta against the one who bought out her family affairs and is planning a most unsavory hostile takeover, and by means of taking over the food supply.
Oh, that is quite an overreach for someone of that name.
That's what I thought as well, but she seems quite sure of herself and has already begun that plan.
I see. Well, that is interesting information, but what I did not hear in there was an actual answer to my question of what you had planned to do about it. You know what? Let me tell you about your good friend Eleanor. You see, I recently asked her to do me a favor, and she had no issues whatsoever with it. So I ask again. Do you have some sort of plan in mind, my dear Lillian?
Actually, there is a plan. The plan is simply to let her think that we have decided to take up with her, find out all of her secrets, and give you the heads up.
I like this plan. This is a well thought out plan.
Now, if you would prefer her to just be killed, then of course I'm sure that can be arranged, but...
My goodness, there's no need for dramatics or hyperbolics at this stage.
That's why I haven't done anything of that nature, of course.
Good, yes, you did know how to keep things in hand. Pets?
Pets.
Like disgusting little dogs or something?
More like flying creatures. Not quite a bird, not quite a bat, but large flying creatures. And then it is suspected that she has rodents that like to scurry about the sewers.
I see. Well, flying creatures have never been one of my favorites. Plague-ridden, disgusting monstrosities that London pigeons are. You follow?
I do. She has quite a few of them.
I see. And is that perhaps what happened to her factory? Did something happen because you thought there might have been something in there? Or was that just an unfortunate happenstance?
That was, call it collateral damage. Something to get in her attention, I suppose. It worked. And she's not working alone, of course. There's another, what was the name? Demeter, I believe.
Storyteller, does that name ring a bell to me at all?
That one would not. No.
Perfect. So Lady Anne nods like she knows exactly who that is. Of course.
Either way, the pets are very smitten with Regina. They love her dearly. But Demeter they are frightened of. Apparently she causes them a great deal of torment.
There are two approaches to every situation, to be loved or to be feared. There's really no wrong answer.
They can both manage the same outcome, depending on the person, I suppose. Nonetheless, what we need to find out, of course, is exactly how many pets she has, and more information on the Demeter person.
I agree, but I'm also quite curious. Mr. Rafe, you are involved in the papers, aren't you? That's what you do?
Yes, Lady Anne.
Wonderful. So why is it exactly that this factory burning down made it into the papers, I wonder?
Well, Mom, there's a difference between being a writer and being an editor, and I don't have control over what makes it into the paper and what doesn't.
Now that is spoken like someone with no interest in upward momentum. The only difference between a writer and an editor is what you want to do with your life.
Right.
Do you understand me?
I do, Mom, but I'm not physically able to do what you are suggesting. I would do so if I was able to do so.
I see. Well, that is disappointing. Let's move on. And Lady Anne's eyes just leave Rafe completely. Well, let's move on to other goings on in my city, because you're all so very well acquainted and, oh, what's the term? Boots on the ground, I believe? Yes. Have you had any interactions with our dear Underprince Brimmer?
And I actually look to Lillian, if you don't mind, Mum.
By all means.
Actually, Miss Crawford's really not in a position to be speaking on that matter in particular. What do you wish to know?
What is he doing right now? Has there been any new embraces? Since I'm hearing this news about recruits among other people, I'd hate to fall away from the pulse of the city.
And Rafe's looking at Lillian for a moment, probably a lot longer than he should, and then he returns his attention back to Lady Anne. Alright. The long and short of it, Lady Anne, is that the Underprince is having a bit of a trouble with Miss Bollingsworth's pets and friends, whatever metaphors you were using. You could say that they are directly opposed right now, and things are not going in Bremer's favor. As far as new recruits go, you know that Nosferatu are?
I do.
And Rafe kind of leaves that part left unspoken, but as far as Prince Bremer's allegiance to the city, however, he does seem to have a vested interest in maintaining things as they are, versus whatever Miss Bollingsworth seems to be attempting to do.
This Miss Bollingsworth seems like she's going to be quite the problem. I shall have to mark down time in my ledger.
From what it seems, she, is very good with concoctions. Some might even say they're magical. Spellbinding.
An even larger time in my ledger then, perhaps. Well, now would you say that this young woman has a vested interest in helping our city from your particular vantage point?
I would say that she believes she's owed the city for what current leadership has done to her family.
It is always the plight of the mediocre to reach above their station. We are used to it, but such threats must be quashed under a boot hill. Like a weed.
I will let you know, we did agree, more or less, to become part of her ranks. Specifically for the reasons I already stated.
I appreciate this plan. It is devastatingly simple, and yet seems like it will work. I like things that don't have too many frills to them, too many things to go wrong in the process.
It occurred to me while she was speaking and going over her own plan that she is quite complex. In her manner of thinking, of course. She doesn't see the simplicity in accomplishing things. More so, she thinks of the most obscure way to handle it. And it's like a moth to a flame. She gets this, it's like she got this idea in her head that that's what she's going to do. Famine, of course, for leadership and the rest of us. And that is her grand plan. That is how she's going to root it all out. When there are so many more efficient ways to do that if you really wanted to accomplish something like that. So it seemed to me the best course of action would be the simplest.
Her kind have always been overblown and underthought in their plans.
Theatrics,
it is
always.
One of the many reasons that they tend not to be as welcome here as some other cities.
I'd stand to reason that the woman's insane, Lady Anne, but that's besides the point.
Insanity comes in many, many forms. And it can certainly live in your lineage and in your blood, as we well know.
That it can. Nonetheless, while we're sorting out her moves, what she's going to be doing, what her plans are, we should also try to sort out ways to combat whatever's left in the dust afterward. The pets that fly tend to be much more of a problem than the ones who scurry. They're quite strong. Not so bright, but very strong. Lost a car and a driver to one.
My condolences. Well,
no
we do not lack
replaced.
I would expect no less. Surely you've not fallen on hard times, my dear.
No.
Oh my goodness. Oh, I do enjoy your sense of humor still. Well, we do not lack in this city for martial prowess. It seems like what we need is an opportunity or a location, perhaps. Hopefully you can get that in your newfound friendship with this woman.
I'm sure that can be easily managed one way or another.
Good. Well, you know I would appreciate it, and if I appreciate it, then it is something worth appreciating.
Of course. And your appreciation is, as always, very appreciated.
What else is going on right now? I've heard very much from my dear sweet Lillian, and I've heard very much from our journalist friend here. What of the two of you, Mr. Walter and Mr. Tommy, what can you tell me of what you know of the city right now? As newcomers, I value your fresh perspective.
I'm afraid all my information is local, my lady. It's very much surrounded by the name of the hospital that I keep forgetting.
Wetterman.
Wetterman?
Yeah.
That's where I am. It's where we were alerted to the flying beasts. It's where we have seen an uptick of morgue activity, and that's truly about all I can say.
That's all you can say, or that's all you know?
Well, that's all it's all that seems relevant to the conversation.
I see. And then she turns and just looks at Tommy.
My situation now is the situation at hand. I eat, drink, and sleep this situation. I need this to be fixed. I need it to be fixed. And I will find a way to do it.
The man of the moment. I can appreciate that. And do you have questions for me? I mean, Lillian, you did reach out to arrange this, no? Were we just getting together for a drink?
More or less, just to inform you of the situation, of course. Thought you might want to know about it, considering she has been making quite a lot of issues around the city.
She has.
We can't imagine we're the first people she's tried to recruit to her side.
You might want to be aware of that as well, and keep an eye out for any potentials who might have already crossed over.
Yes, we shall. I did know about our flying menaces. I did not have a name to put to them, so for that I am very appreciative of all of you. And she sort of gestures at the people who aren't to Lillian.
Lady Anne, what about leadership? You know of them... How big of a problem is this immediately versus long term?
It is an immediate problem that requires an immediate solution, because if it becomes a long-term problem, not one of us is going to enjoy themselves.
Understood. I promise efficiency.
As for leadership among them, my great hope is that there are not very many, that it is limited to just these two you've told me about. But if they already have a number of these flying creatures, that is rather worrisome.
Understood. There's, storyteller, approximately how many unique flying creatures have I spotted through my journeys throughout the city?
So between the present moment and since this all began, you have seen 3 unique gargoyles.
There's 3 at least that I know of that I can confirm. There's many, many more, unfortunately. You can see them flying about at night if you look up and you pay attention. They're everywhere.
That is precisely my concern. That sounds like the handiwork of more than just 2.
Oh, I would be very surprised if there was only 2 or 3 for that matter. Which is...
Yes.
So if you know about, what do you know about them? What can we use against these that you know
of? Storyteller?
If anything.
If anything.
You don't really have much occult knowledge. That is not your area of expertise. So, you would not really know much about gargoyles other than what they are and that the Tremere create them. That's the extent. So you wouldn't know a weakness or how they're created necessarily. It would just sort of be, you know what they are. That's it.
Totes. Well, martial forces are not so much my domain. It has been quite some time since I've seen any form of combat with those sort of beasts. Unfortunately, I can't offer you any more than that. You found my one weakness, I'm so sorry.
I'll try not to exploit it.
Now,
I would appreciate it.
And
I said with a chuckle.
And, Lady Anne, as far as formalities are concerned, as we go about our work, in regards to the 6th tradition, I'm assuming that that's going to be looked over if we need to. I.e., we can kill Kindred and not get in trouble for it.
Well, I am quite certain that this venture you are undertaking for our city will have steep prices, and I personally promise you that if that occurs, there will not be repercussions. This issue must be dealt with by whatever means necessary.
Understood, Mom.
Excellent.
I also... But when we spoke to her, she asked for a show of loyalty. What could we provide? For my show of loyalty, she asked for information. Now, I tried to offer her Baylor, because we both know if she'd gone after him, that would not have ended well for her. Either way, she didn't take the bait, but she did, however, would be okay with information regarding you, Lady Anne. So my question, what would you like me to tell her?
Storyteller, just sort of not knowing the drama of your current world, what minor piece of information or fake piece of information could I hand over here that could theoretically be verified? Because my intention is not to send Lillian in with a lie so obvious it gets her told to fuck off.
Yeah, for sure. I know what you mean. So, sorry, Lillian, just what exactly did you ask her? I'm just trying to get the exact details here.
Asking, because Regina wanted information, and specifically, like, Baylor wasn't doing it, so Anne, anything. What would she like me to go back and tell her that would be enough of... enough information, something big enough that would, you know, win the loyalty card, but nothing that was actually going to be a problem.
Got it. So what information can Anne give you to take back to Regina as like a show of, as for Lillian's portion of the demonstration of loyalty? Okay. So, okay. I think that Anne could tell her that Prince Mithras, he is still away on one of his bouts of absences that he is wont to do, and you are very familiar with, where he holds himself up sometimes in his haven of the Mithraeum, other times other places in London, maybe even outside of London. So if you want to like even more embellish, like he's away and he's like out of the country, or he's like, you could sort of feed that those incorrect details that like he's not even in London, but that he's still away, that would potentially bait her into doing more bad stuff. So you could probably just say that Mithras is, he's still away there, whatever.
Perfect.
Like he's actually not coming back for a while.
Perfect. Well, I would let her know that our dear Prince Mithras has not yet returned to the city, and we're not sure when he's planning to be back next.
I can absolutely relay the message, or information rather.
Yes, not a message. Very much secret information that you have dug up. Like the clever girl that you are. Interestingly, however, and whether you pass this along to your new compatriot or not, I don't know, but Lady Ophelia will be resuming her keeper duties at the Elysium tomorrow.
Understood.
And Lillian, you would know her as a prominent member of Kindred Society and the Keeper of Elysium. She hasn't been seen as much since there haven't been Elysiums for a while due to Mithras's absence and because of the war and the flu and like everything just kind of going nuts. So yeah, you would definitely know her. Lillian, I would say, probably spoken to her at least once or twice in the past in London's history. But it's kind of like her reemergence is interesting, as well as Mithras's potential reemergence.
Gotcha. Wow. That is very much noted, Lady Anne.
It is, and it is quite interesting. I was wondering if perhaps you and your lovely companions here were planning to attend Elysium. It is tomorrow, you know.
Of course I intend on being there.
Wonderful. It is, of course, in the usual place. You'll find it at Highgate Cemetery, and I have had my people on watch to ensure that there will be no wraith activity at such a time.
Wonderful. It's probably a very good idea to do that, indeed. Always thinking ahead, Lady Anne.
You learn sooner or later. If you're not thinking ahead, you're dying right now.
Exactly.
And I kind of look over to Walter and just kind of like mutter like wraith, like
And when she says that, I just like look at Rafe. I'm just like, see, as I've told you, you have to think. Always use your head.
And it's at that point that the reedy bartender actually appears, or I guess the door would have been closed. So he'll like, there's a knock at the door. Ding, ding, ding.
Yes.
And,
I just was looking to speak to Lady Anne. I believe there is a visitor.
Business is always calling. Would you all excuse me for just a moment? And as Lady Anne makes her way to the door, she stops beside Lillian's chair and whispers to her totally loudly enough for everyone else to hear. Do remember, my dear, you don't own everywhere just because you've walked into it. Pat, pat.
Okay,
so I should buy this bar.
Yeah, that'll go great next time I'm back as an NPC.
Yeah, boy. So Lady Anne exits that little offshoot dining room, and they're sitting in one of the booths. Lady Anne, you see the sheriff, Juliet Parr, and she's sitting a bit rigidly, and she is in her typical like black, almost like Victorian funeral suit with tails, a crisp white shirt, and this sort of like wavy black hair with a gray streak slicked back, a very pale, angular face with deep set eyes, always very sad looking she is, in a certain way. So she looks at Lady Anne.
Lady Parr, pleasure.
Yes. I knew that you would be meeting here tonight with, I believe, this coterie of happenstance that I've met before. How is that
Have
going?
you? Children think that they can talk their way around anything.
Yes, they are a strange mix of naive and sinister. Very strange.
They seem rather at a loss as to what they're actually doing.
Yes. I fear... I worry that they are the only ones who have the information we need to keep London safe, and more importantly, the prince safe. And have they been forthcoming?
I believe they have, in fact. They've given me a couple of names that we can go on, but I would not want to give you second-hand information. Would you like to join us, Lady Pa?
Oh, yes, of course. Thank you, Lady Anne. And she'll stand up. And,
please.
Okay. So she enters the room, and you kind of catch the bartender, like he's scurried back behind the bar. He's kind of looking at both of you, like just like a little bit intimidated, interested, curious. Like he's definitely seen Lady Anne, but Sheriff Parr already kind of has an unusual appearance for a woman of this era. So he gives a bit of a confused look, but he knows better than to say anything. So the sheriff enters the dining room, and she goes around to the other side and kind of sits like in between. I guess we didn't decide how the seating arrangement was, now that I'm thinking about it. So Lady Anne was at the head of the table, kind of at the back of the room. Where did Rafe and Tommy and Walter sit, first of all?
I mean, in the open chair.
In the middle somewhere.
Like, I understand the gravity of the meeting, but I'm not intimidated by the participants.
I would have sat opposite
Oh,
Lillian.
honey.
Well, because I'm new. It's nothing against you, Les.
I would have sat next to Lady Anne.
No, I would have sat across. So basically next to Anne, but across from Lillian.
Correct.
Yep.
Okay, so I see that there. Walter's kind of in the middle. What about Tommy?
Tommy will be one chair away from everybody else.
Okay, so the sheriff...
We're all real bad at tables.
Yeah,
Malkavian sitting on the floor.
For table placement. So the sheriff goes around and actually sits right next to Tommy. And she's like, hello, everyone. It's been quite a while.
Sheriff Parr?
Much easier surroundings now. I know the Tower of London was a bit dramatic, but safe. Now, how have you been faring with all the danger? And she looks at Tommy.
Tommy just looks at her, then kind of looks back down. Like, it's pretty obvious.
We've had a bit of a rough go, Sheriff Parr, but we're making forward progress.
Oh, I am glad to hear that, as things have been quite messy in East London. In fact, messier than even when I saw you last.
We're trying to get to the bottom of the situation. We've figured out where Regina Bollingsworth has been holding up. We've figured out one of the locations in the city where she was operating out of. We shut it down. If you have a spare moment, it wouldn't be a bad idea to maybe make contact with Under Prince Bremer, just to touch base with them. They've been dealing with a bit of a Trojan horse situation. Some of Regina's pets scuttling back to the only safe place they know, and they had a bit of a problem earlier tonight, or 2 nights ago.
And Sheriff Parr kind of like looks up to the ceiling and she says, "Oh, yes, the dark figures in the sky. Quite a dangerous portent, I would say. Now, tell me, did you saw Regina?"
And I looked to Lillian.
Indeed, we did.
And tell me, how was her mind, her demeanor?
She is quite mad.
And you see a very uncharacteristic, like, Cheshire-style grin from the sheriff, maybe taking a little pleasure in you calling someone mad when talking to a Malkavian.
Her mind is twisted in a way that it can only focus on the vendetta at hand. Nothing is a clear path for her. She seems to be taking all paths except for the one that leads to what she's actually wanting, which works in our favor, of course, but very twisted.
Yes, well, we have, in my bloodline, the cobweb stretching out into the infinite mental spaces of our predecessors and our future. But there are other ways the mind can be twisted. And tell me, and she, like, the smile disappears. Her hands come up on the table. She doesn't, like, slam them down, but she puts them down forcefully and kind of moves and looks at everyone except for Lady Anne and is like, "What are you going to do to protect the prince? The danger from East London is encroaching west on a nightly basis. The Nosferatu are doing God knows what in the tunnels, keeping to themselves and their own nasty affairs. You all have stepped into this, and thus it is your duty as kindred in this Camarilla stronghold to protect the domain and the ruler of the domain. Do you understand?"
Very clear, Sheriff Parr.
I know there have been no traditional Elysiums. There have been no easily detected movements of the court in recent years, what with the mortals warring as they do. But that does not mean that the traditions do not hold. and that the tower does not demand respect and devotion. You are the subjects of Prince Mithras. It doesn't matter how you feel. You are in his domain, and thus you are his subjects. Is that not correct, Lady Anne?
Completely correct, Sheriff Pa. Now, they do have a plan. Don't you? Go on, tell her your plan.
We were recruited by her.
Oh, and what glorious things did she offer you in return for your recruitment?
What didn't she offer us? A chance to be part of a new era in London, part of a new uprising. Essentially what you and Lady Anne are now, we would have the opportunity to be just that under her regime. But better.
And what exactly is this vendetta against the prince? Why? What transpired that would cause her to concoct such a strange plan?
She's a Tremere.
She needs no additional reason than that.
Oh, but Lady Anne, do you remember when we were driving them out? Do you remember the coven in shadows? You don't.
I nod like I do.
Okay. It was a group of witches discovered by the prince and the court at the time. And they thought they could hide in the squalid basements of East London, reveling in their ill-begotten condition. And their haven was burnt to the ground. And all within perished, or at least I thought they had. But it seems there was one survivor, if not more. What we should do, regardless of the plan you may have concocted, is to destroy her before Mithras, the prince, lays a golden eye upon her.
Sheriff Pa, if I may, are you aware of a name Demeter? Is that...
No. Possibly Slavic?
Or perhaps another survivor? Regina has help, you see. There is another. And that other is Demeter. So far, from what we have been able to discover, there are only the two, but it's not a certainty.
Where there is one, there is two. There are many. Such is the way of cockroaches.
Which is why we should find out just how many and where they lay.
As well as how many of the flying creatures have already been brought here.
Precisely.
I do not disagree with you, Sheriff Parr. They should be hunted to a man and dealt with just as efficiently, but I believe they may have information we need first. It will do us no good to take out these 1, now 2, only to turn around and discover that there's a cabal more somewhere else.
Yes, indeed. And I don't know if any of you are privy to how the winged monstrosities are created, but it is quite gruesome, and not in the manner of violence that we as Canaans are wont to do, but in a way that destroys our kind, and they emerge something even more monstrous, but a monster with no will but the will of its creator. And thus they will never betray her.
It would seem, Sheriff Parr, that while that is correct, in a sense, it would seem that the creators are not nearly as efficient as they once were. We have been able to twist one of them at least, make it question its loyalty. Of course, it didn't really offer much help. They're not quite bright, but there was a moment when we were able to break through that loyalty.
I should have known that if anyone could manipulate the mind of such a creature, it would be you, dear Miss Crawford.
Pat, sorry.
Oh, it was nothing important. Proceed.
Okay.
But can you imagine the torment? Wings, but told to fly, not just by verbal demand, but by demand of their very nature. Can you imagine how broken they must be?
Sheriff Parr, you seem to be somewhat familiar with these creatures. If any are still alive and we end their creator, what happens to them?
That is not entirely clear to me. I don't believe they just cease to exist or their will expires and they lay down until the earth and stone reclaims them. I do not know. But I don't think they are immediately destroyed, should you destroy their creator.
I was more concerned about what happens when you have an angry dog and you cut the leash.
That may be a very interesting situation indeed. Another
wild
thing to
creatures
consider.
like that rampage.
That's what I was worried about.
And playing with their head only stops them for a moment. So far, we have no idea how to remove them permanently.
I mean, there are ways
Miss
to...
Crawford, do you know more about these things?
Not really any more than you or Tommy would know, honestly. They take damage just like anyone else. It's just a matter of hitting the right places and more
They are
force.
They are a kindred in a matter of speaking. They still need blood. They still suffer the same curses of Cain as we do. Anything that would threaten us would possibly threaten them as well.
The sun, I believe, would probably do the trick. As would fire, I'm sure.
Can you burn
Indeed.
stone?
Their skin is like stone. It appears like stone. Does not mean it is stone. They have flesh. Undead. Decaying flesh, just as we have. Well, if you all have... Well, before I go, tell me, what is your next move?
Well, my intentions are to... I'm sure that I'm going to receive a visit from Regina very soon. And I'm going to tell her about this meeting.
Indeed. Lady Anne, I'm sure you helped them craft what, or Miss Crawford craft what she will tell the usurper.
Of course. But there's no hiding that the meeting happened. It's better if she admits it up front. A show of conviction, of trustworthiness.
I'm fairly certain that they already knew we are here. We probably watched.
Usually.
Indeed. I did not detect anyone. But you never know. It's blasted magic. Well, you'll forgive me, but I must take my leave, as I have duties to the prince and the Elysium that will follow tomorrow night. I trust I will see all of you.
Of course.
Of course.
I see. Well, in the meantime, do be careful. And I shall see you tomorrow. And she actually obfuscates, and you see the door open with nobody there, and she leaves.
Well, isn't every night a surprise?
Indeed it is.
I believe our sheriff has the correct idea, though. I, too, have preparations before the Elysium. Although, Lillian, you should know that, of course, Justicar Baylor will be in attendance.
Of course. Why wouldn't he be? Fantastic. I absolutely... I look forward to seeing him, as always.
Excellent. And Lady Anne puts her fingertips on the table and stands up. It was a pleasure to meet all of you. And, well, I have chosen to take no offense. When you are at Elysium tomorrow, please do remember your titles when you speak to your superiors. Yes, that's the word. I am a very humble, very understanding kind of person. I can't say that's true of everyone. Everyone here will remember their manners, yes?
Of course.
Most excellent. Please avail yourself to the room while you are here. Avail yourself to any refreshments. The bartender is plenty used to handling guests. I do wish you all success. Truly. We're all going to be depending on it if the Tremere are back in town.
Thank you, Lady Anne.
Good evening to you. Good evening to you all then. And Lady Anne breezes out.
So Lady Anne has made her exit, and I think it's at this point we will end the session for tonight. So thank you to everyone at home for watching. Thank you for being here with us once again. And we are going to do a quick outro roundtable for our players to see what they are doing and where you can find them, starting once again with Ben as Walter.
Hi, as Sarah said, my name is Ben. I've been playing Walter the Gangrel. You will not find me many other places besides here at Martlet, so I'll see you next time.
That works. And hi, Patrick Gill, creative director here at Martlet Games. I was playing Rafe the Toreador. We've got anything and everything going on here on the channel. Keep an eye on the socials. Buy our book. Yeah, I'll let Sarah talk about the book. Other than that, just keep an eye out. Love you all. Thanks for watching.
Hi everyone, I'm Samantha McLarty and I have been Lillian Crawford, the Ventru, and yeah, I do things and stuff. I don't know what I'm going to be doing with this air, so the best bet is just to watch the social. I always post about stuff before it happens. So at Just S McLarty, maybe I think that there might be links in the chat. Either way, follow socials. That's the best way to find out what I'm doing. And yeah, buy their book and buy Lex's book and all the books. Books are good. And I'm bad at this, so next.
Hey everybody, Stephen Rieger, creative partner here at Martlet Games. I have played Tommy in the Malkavian. I'm keeping myself very busy with some projects that will be coming down the line. You will see them once they pop up on Martlet. We will let you know.
Oh, it's me. Yep. Hi. I'm Lex. I played Lady Anne of the constantly changing British accent this evening. I was from all parts of friggin' England today. You can catch me on all of the socials as a redhead vixen. I don't know when this is going to be airing, but you can see me like friggin' everywhere. You can find me on Adjacent, Gehenna Gaming, Girls Who Run These Worlds, Martlet, here where I am. Pretty much everywhere. Keep an eye out on my socials because I always post selfies of whatever I'm doing, and that is my life.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Lex, and thank you for being here and agreeing to portray Lady Anne. It was a true delight, and you gave me everything I wanted and more. So, okay. I am Sarah. I am the storyteller. I'm also a creative partner at Martlet Games. You can find me on Twitter at MC Diabetes. I'm not sure what projects I'll be in. Typically, you can find me on Vancouver by Night as part of the Saturday Vampire Takeover. After Adjacent, in Vancouver by Night, Delve into Darkness. We're on a bit of a hiatus right now, but perhaps we'll be back when this is airing. The book, please go on to the Storyteller's Vault and buy our Vampire the Masquerade 5th edition supplement, Bloody Awful Business, which gives you a glimpse inside of the circulatory system. Previously just a series of lore sheets, and now expanded into something that you can use in your chronicle, with titles, lore sheets of their own, all new Thin Blood alchemy formulae, narrative stuff, fiction. It's got a lot. So please check that out on the Storyteller's Vault. That's me and Pat and Tyler Rose. We all worked on that. So please check that out. If you do buy it, please leave a review and some stars. We do appreciate that. Other than that, just keep an eye out on Martlet socials for what we will be airing in the future. Thanks everybody once again, and we'll see you next time for London's Bleeding, the Elysium episode. Bye.